Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of GBTV. I'm Gerry T, here with Brad Nelson, and today we want to talk about this new card, Cavern of Souls. What do you think about this card?
This card blew my mind. We got here this morning, we found out about this card, we're like, we gotta talk about it.
Yeah.
Because Boseiju was one of my favorite cards back in the day. I loved casting Tooth and Nail with it. I loved being able to say, I will pay 2 life, and you cannot counter this. You cannot interact with me, I'm gonna play 2 cards, you're gonna die. And I just loved it. And as I've grown with Magic, I've learned that, like, having that ability with a spell is pretty devastating.
Yeah.
And
Tooth and Nail is like a one-shot.
Yeah. And so you don't really want these, like, one-shot things that can't be countered, but that's perfect for creatures.
Yeah.
So this land lets you resolve all your creatures through counter magic. It fixes mana for 2-color tribal decks. And I just love it. I just love that the format is going to turn into where you can't play permission decks, like solely permission decks, and you can just play a bunch of creatures attacking and blocking and combat and swords and claws. I just love that people are just going to be running with creatures again.
Because everyone loved legions.
I mean, okay. Seriously though, I think it's a great card because you get to ignore counter magic with your guys, and the control decks are going to have to interact in a different way. And the cards like Force of Will and Mana Leak are going to have to come with better spells that can actually interact with creatures, and the formats are just going to open up.
Okay, so do you want the good news or the bad news?
I mean, obviously the good news.
Okay, I guess we can talk about Legacy then. So what do you think that it's going to do for Legacy?
I mean, it's going to do exactly that. Like, these Rug decks and these Stoneblade decks really rely on Force of Will and cards like Daze to interact with, like, turn 1 Goblin Lackeys and these Knight of Reliquaries and the Mother Ruins. And if they're not able to counter them with Force of Will, they're going to have to start playing more swords, plows, lightning bolts, forked bolts, things like that. And they might even, like, skimp on their Force of Wills. So then the combo decks are going to have a better chance of beating these blue decks. Okay. And the format just opens up. Yeah,
and that seems like pretty much it. Right now the combo decks are kind of in a lull because decks like Rug exist, and they just have like this wall of counter magic that makes it impossible for them to compete. So now, while decks like Belcher are basically unfun, I mean, I think it's just better to have a diverse metagame and have these decks actually be able to play.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about Modern? What do you think the card's going to do in Modern?
I mean, I haven't really been a fan of Modern in the last couple months because of decks like Mono Blue Fairies and Tron, where they just get to do their own thing. There's this one turn where they have to interact with a creature, and then after that, they can just go back to doing their over-the-top things like Shackles, or Tron just, you know, plays a Karn or something like that.
Yeah.
And if they don't have that one turn to remand or condescend that one creature, they're going to have to change their whole game plan. So I really like that these creature decks are actually going to be able to compete with these blue decks again.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the same thing with Legacy, where it just opens up the format because there's like this hole in the metagame where there aren't really tribal decks that exist, but this card is probably going to help them.
Yeah, this card's insane.
Okay, so I guess we'll talk about Standard then.
Yeah, sure. Like, in Standard, it's the same thing. Like, Blue-Black Control is like one of the most boring decks in the format. You can't really, like...
Okay, hold on. Standard's actually the bad news.
I mean, why?
Okay, do you like Delver of Secrets?
I mean, I play with it because it's the best deck in the format, but I think it is a little bit too powerful.
Okay, and this card helps against Delver, so...
Yeah, obviously. Like, Sun Titan's, like, also one of my favorite cards, and you get to, you know, always resolve it. You always have to, like, fear, like, not being able to resolve your Titan. So, like, they can attrition all your removal, and then you just drop with Sun Titan and they counter it and you die. Yeah. So, like, now you can actually just slam your Sun Titan on the board, get your Ratchet Bomb back, and just blow them up. Yeah,
okay, so do you like Primeval Titan?
I mean, no.
Okay. What's the best way to deal with Primeval Titan?
Counter it.
Well, that's going to be near impossible. Every Titan deck is going to play 4 of this land, and that's just not going to happen anymore. Like, and even going back to what you said about this land promoting interactivity, like, think about the playtest video that we did earlier in the week, where it was green-red against humans, and all we were trying to do was just, like, play a Haymaker. You're trying to stick a hero or a Mirror Crusader, I'm trying to resolve a sword, a War and Peace, and we're just, like, hitting each other back and forth, and it's like, okay, we play this, does it live? Okay, well, then you die. If it dies, then all right, I'll try again next turn. That's not really interactive.